So this is going to be a very challenging redesign, at least from what I've been able to figure out and from what I've been able to gather through my research. There really isn't anything to the concept of Cryogonal besides it's a snowflake. It's a snowflake and it eats by trapping its prey in ice. And so that doesn't really give us too much to go on. But the main problem with Cryogonal is that it doesn't look like a Pokemon. I know that some viewers don't like it when I do this, but I think what we have to do is essentially just create a Fakemon. Essentially, we have to make a completely new snowflake Pokemon from scratch. Looking to Cryogonal if we can for some sources, some inspiration. I got the shiny sprite here because I way prefer the shiny coloration. I think it's a lot more vibrant and just more interesting overall. The one kind of concept that I was focusing my sketches on is the idea of a nucleation point. When a liquid freezes and crystallizes, it needs a nucleation point, which is like the point where it starts the crystallization process. So if you've seen those videos of super cooled water, then it's like super pure water that you put in the freezer, and then when you take it out, it's below the freezing point, but it's still liquid, and then you shake it or you hit a table or something with it, and then it freezes almost instantly. So the reason it doesn't freeze is because the water is really pure, so it doesn't have any kind of impurity in it that would create a nucleation point. The direction that I'm thinking of going with that is that it would have like a kind of a central body. It might have a face or something on it, and then the snowflake is built around that. And like this is the creature, and it just like has ice around it. The one thing that's in almost all of its dex entries is that it is born in snow clouds. So it just like it freezes out of thin air. If the temperature gets too high, it'll actually evaporate, and then when the temperature gets low again, it'll reform. Another thing that I've considered is if instead of it being like a vertical plane and the face is on the front, what if it's more of a horizontal snowflake with the face on top? If it's born in the clouds, it could have some mist around it. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. This may be a little much, but what if the outer ice body can be different for each individual to reflect the different kinds of snowflakes? I did think of that, and I like that idea very much, that there would be like a potentially infinite number of forms of Cryogonal. I think that can be like part of the concept of this design, but I'm not going to do a whole bunch of different variations just because of time. I think that's a good idea. And like if it's a snowflake Pokemon, it should have multiple forms, right? I did a whole bunch of variations on like different faces and stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to start with, and then we'll build around that. So I was trying to keep the hexagonal angularness of Cryogonal in some way, even if I make the facial features a little bit more rounded, a little bit more natural. I wanted to keep some element of that angularness. I think it's important for it to be more expressive. I think that's one of the things that will help it look more like a Pokemon, like if it can actually make different faces, and because Cryogonal's face is very static, right? You guys like 10 the most? I think I still like the eyes of 1 the most. I do like the eyes of 8 as well. Maybe I can try some more variations with the eyes of 8 and the eyes of 1, and then different mouths. The mouth of 10 and the merged eyes of 1 and 8 would be... Oh, we can... Yeah, merged eyes of 1 and 8. Okay. Yeah, I think 13 is the winner. Either 12 or 13. I bet 12 could smile and look like 13, like its mouth could just grow. I'm with Kai that I think that 12 could smile and look like 13. But I think that 12 has a more cryogonal-ish expression because it's got more of that intense look. So I'm inclined to draw it with 12 as its face. So the other part to really figure out is the shape of the snowflake. So this just has an illustration of a whole bunch of different kinds of snowflakes. Let me bring in some more photos from Wikipedia, because I think there's some really interesting ones here. Very complex, but very pretty. I think this one is just a macro photo. These other ones that I found are electron microscope photos, I think. A little bit simpler, but still with a very interesting shape. I mean, we could go literally in any direction, so it's we have a lot of options. Yeah, I like the one that's the black and white one on the left here because it's very spiky, so it has a kind of aggressive look to it. But because all its parts are quite thick, it looks more durable. Whereas these other two that I have on the screen here, they look way more fragile. So the one on the top left is probably a very good one to follow. Honestly, I'm really digging the black and white one on the right because of the 6-pointed star shape it makes. I like the right one a bit more as well. Maybe I'll do a simplified version of the one on the right. How about that? Because I like those qualities I was talking about for the one on the left, maybe I'll try to do something that looks a little bit more in that direction, but with the one on the right as the base. So let me do just a very quick trace of this one to get an idea of the shape, and then we can put it together with the face and see how it looks. This would be a perfect place to put the face. So this is quite disproportionate, I guess. My concept would have been to put the face just in here. Something like that. But that might be too small. Just make that middle section bigger, I guess. Maybe more like that size. Maybe that's a little better. Just another thing to consider, like I was talking before about potentially having it in a different plane. The version we have right now would be vertical, and the face is on the front. So let's try the version where the face would be on top of the crystal rather than on the front. Is there a way to incorporate the encasement as the beginning of the overall pattern? Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so. The middle here wouldn't just be like a circle. I think it would be something like this maybe, but like transparent because it's ice. This same concept of how it's encased would apply to it on this plane as well. Which one do you guys like better? Do you prefer it a vertical snowflake like this with the face on the front, or as a horizontal crystal with the face on the top? I think this one is more visually interesting because it has that perspective that we can play with. I think that's cool. But probably this one sticks more to the original Cryogonal, whether that's important or not. Yeah, I'm inclined to go with this one to avoid straying too far. In theory, it could just like rotate 360 degrees in every direction. We could even just say that it actually is both of these. So like we could try a version of this that is angled maybe a little bit more dynamically, not quite as far as this, but something a little bit in between. I'm going to begin by drawing the crystal, the snowflake shape, totally flat, and then I'll transform it. Because I want to make sure that I get the proportions right, that it's a regular hexagon, like I want it to be correct. So I'll start with that, and then I'll transform it into position. All right. And there we go. There he is, or it is. It's I guess it's genderless, so there it is. Drawing these very long straight lines might be a bit of a challenge. Oh, we will soon be able to test out colors. I think colors, I mean, there's many places where Cryogonal fails, but I think color is one of them because it's very flat, both physically and like in terms of its colors. The shiny Cryogonal makes a huge difference in that regard. Yeah, so what do you think? Should I draw this pattern on the big flat part? Should I draw it as lines like I have now, or maybe just leave it, just do it with color? Hashtag Team Trees, yes, absolutely. If you're not aware, a whole bunch of YouTubers, very big YouTubers, got together to raise, the goal is at least $20 million in order to plant 20 million trees before the end of the year. If you can donate, you absolutely should. You can go to teamtrees.org and donate there. If some of the YouTube creators that you follow are also supporting it, you might be able to donate through their channel, like right on YouTube, and YouTube handles the transaction fees and all that, so that's really cool. You should absolutely participate if you can. And we were talking about adding mist earlier, right? Maybe I should try that now. I love the line style on the face, by the way. Oh, that's good. Did you notice that I might have taken a little bit of inspiration from James Turner's drawing style? I didn't really say this out loud, but I drew the lines on the face with a much rougher brush than I'm drawing everything else. To me, it gives more of a sense that that middle part is more organic, whereas everything else is smooth and precise and geometric. All right, there we go. That's it, right? Everyone's happy with this? Just got a shade. This wasn't exactly my intention, but I feel like this is gonna end up having almost no actual black lines, maybe just on the face. I think this is done. You guys can tell me what you think, but I think this is done. And I'm pretty happy with it. I do like the idea of having it have multiple forms, but I like this form a lot. I think the inside, the face, I think that turned out really good. This has actually been really fun. Doing it on YouTube, the viewership overall was like 2 or 3 times higher than what I normally got on Twitch for these streams. So I'm happy to continue doing them on YouTube. So the options for the next redesign, we still have Togekiss in the running. That's going to be its last chance for now, at least. So that's Togekiss. And then we have the Clink family, another big challenge if we choose that one, or Diggersby starting in on Generation 6. Poll is in the community tab and the link is in the description. If you missed watching this stream live, you can still watch the entire stream if you want to. It'll be available on demand and forever. For Patreon supporters, any Patreon level will get access to it, so just $1 a month will get you access to this stream and all the future streams as long as you're supporting. The stream happens on the last Saturday of the month, which means that the next one will be recorded on November 30th. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this redesign, please let me know in the comments. You can also tell me if you didn't like the redesign. You can tell me what you would have done differently. You can leave a like to let me know that I'm doing the right thing. And if you're new here, you want to see more redesigns and more Pokemon content in general, you can subscribe. I'm Umbreon Libris. I'll see you in the next chapter.